Hey y'all, so as I'm getting ready for my night out on the town, let's go ahead and have a little chit chat, get ready with me on the topic of boundary setting. So, boundary setting is something that every woman, every girl needs to learn for herself if she wants to create the life she wants. And contrary to what may come to mind when it comes to boundary setting, we actually don't need to be really harsh and really loud about our boundaries, but we need to keep in mind our boundaries for ourselves so that when they're crossed, we know when to exit a situation or we know when to move on. So it's not really so much about getting other people to change or getting other people to even recognize our boundaries or to accept and then to respect our boundaries, but it's more so about just for ourselves being able to identify, hey, this is a situation that I have grown past and it's time for me to move on. So, I'm going to give some examples of how you can actually begin to assess whether or not your boundaries have been crossed. Because sometimes we don't necessarily know, hey, has my boundary been crossed? We don't know if our boundaries have been crossed if we have never dealt with a situation before in which we've been treated in a particular manner or we felt a particular way about a specific situation. Sometimes we know that something just feels off or we feel confused or we feel like it's not right, but we don't have the voice yet because it's such a new situation to us to express, hey, my boundaries have been violated. I think the first thing that we should do in those kinds of situations is to first just clarify how you feel. Because before we can ever articulate how we're feeling, we have to be able to identify it. So even if we can't yet say, hey, a boundary's been crossed, we can at least identify, hey, something feels off. And then as our mind starts to explore what feels off, we start to dig deeper and deeper. And as we go more in depth into that feeling, then words start to become more applicable and we're able to actually apply words to our feelings. So I first want you to just identify whatever feeling it is surrounding a boundary that you think might have been crossed, but you're not sure exactly why it feels wrong. And then it's almost like doing detective work backwards. So you're working from the point of the feeling and then you're working backwards. And the further back you look, eventually you'll see the boundary that's been crossed. And for the first time, you'll be able to put a name to it so that in the future, you know when to move on more quickly.